Have you ever wondered why some voices instantly command respect, while others seem to be ignored? Why certain people can captivate an entire audience with just a few words, while others struggle to hold attention for more than a moment? The secret lies not just in what is being said, but in how it is being delivered. Science has shown that our brains are wired to respond differently to certain vocal qualities. Studies in neuropsychology have revealed that deeper, more resonant voices tend to activate areas of the brain associated with authority and trust. This is one of the reasons why leaders, news anchors, and even actors often train their voices to sound more grounded and controlled. But it's not just about pitch. The rhythm of speech plays a crucial role in how we interpret messages. Speech that follows a natural, measured cadence tends to be perceived as more persuasive and credible, while erratic or monotone speech can make even the most important ideas seem dull or unreliable. Think about some of the most iconic speeches in history. Martin Luther King Jr.'s "I Have a Dream" speech, for example, was not only powerful because of its message, but also because of its delivery. His deliberate pacing, controlled pauses, and rhythmic intonations created a speech that was as musical as it was moving. The same can be said for figures like Barack Obama, Margaret Thatcher, and even historical philosophers whose words have endured through the ages. But beyond public speaking, these same principles apply in everyday life. Whether you are in a job interview, negotiating a deal, or simply having a conversation, the way you present your voice has a direct impact on how your message is received. And here's the most important part: you can train your voice to be more powerful, more persuasive, and more memorable. So how do you do it? First, let's talk about intonation. One of the biggest mistakes people make is speaking in a flat, monotone voice. This happens when there is little variation in pitch, making the speech sound dull and unengaging. A more dynamic voice naturally captures attention. Try experimenting with rising and falling tones, emphasizing key words, and varying your pitch slightly to add energy to your speech. Another crucial element is pausing. Many people underestimate the power of silence. Strategic pauses can make your words feel more intentional and give your listener time to absorb what you are saying. In fact, psychological studies have found that well-placed pauses actually increase the perception of intelligence and confidence. A speaker who rushes through their words appears nervous, while a speaker who pauses naturally between thoughts appears composed and in control. Breath control is another factor that determines vocal strength. Have you ever noticed that when you're nervous, your voice becomes higher-pitched or shaky? This is because stress triggers shallow breathing, which weakens vocal support. By practicing deep, diaphragmatic breathing, you can strengthen your voice and speak with greater stability and confidence. And then there's articulation. The clarity of your speech matters just as much as your tone. Slurred or mumbled words can make even the smartest person seem uncertain or hesitant. One way to improve articulation is through vocal exercises, such as over-exaggerating your pronunciation while practicing certain phrases. Many actors and professional speakers use tongue twisters and diction drills to refine their clarity and precision. But let's take this idea even further. The way you speak doesn't just affect how others perceive you, it affects how you perceive yourself. The concept of embodied cognition suggests that our physical expressions, including our voice, can shape our internal state. In other words, speaking with confidence can actually make you feel more confident. Consider this. A study published in the Journal of Experimental Psychology found that individuals who spoke with a more assertive tone experienced an increase in feelings of self-assurance and control. This means that by consciously adjusting the way you speak, you can influence not only how others see you, but how you see yourself. This is why vocal training is such a powerful tool, not just for public speaking, but for personal growth. Many people go through life unaware of how their own voice is holding them back. They may speak too softly, too quickly, or without enough conviction, unintentionally diminishing their own presence. But once they learn to harness their voice, everything changes. Imagine walking into a room and knowing that the moment you speak, people will listen. Imagine being able to express yourself with clarity, confidence, and authenticity. This isn't about faking a persona. It's about unlocking the full potential of your voice and using it to convey your ideas with impact. But here's something even more profound. Your voice is not just a reflection of who you are. It is a tool for shaping who you become. The way you speak can influence your career, your relationships, and your opportunities in ways you may not even realize. So I invite you to think about this. If someone were to judge you only by the way you speak, what impression would they form? Would they see you as confident, intelligent, and engaging, or would they see hesitation, insecurity, or uncertainty? In the final part of this video, we will reveal the most powerful insight of all, one that goes beyond just improving your speech. We will explore how your voice can be used as a tool for transformation, allowing you to shape not only your communication skills, but your entire identity. Because once you master the way you speak, you unlock a level of influence and self-assurance that can change the course of your life. Are you ready to discover how? Think about this. Your voice is one of the most powerful tools you possess. It is uniquely yours, shaped by your experiences, your emotions, and your identity. But what if I told you that your voice is not just a reflection of who you are? It is also a blueprint for who you can become. This is the final and most powerful insight. The way you speak does not just influence others, it influences you. It shapes your mindset, your self-image, and even the way you navigate the world. Consider this. Have you ever noticed how your voice changes depending on your emotional state? When you feel excited, your pitch rises. When you are nervous, your speech becomes faster and less controlled. When you are feeling powerful, your voice naturally becomes steady and deliberate. But here's the secret. This process works both ways. You don't just express emotions through your voice, you can also create emotions through the way you speak. This is known as the feedback loop of vocal expression. Psychologists have found that altering vocal patterns can shift internal states. Speaking slowly and with intention can induce a sense of calm and control. Speaking with a lower, more grounded tone can increase feelings of authority and confidence. Even something as simple as taking deeper breaths before speaking can transform nervousness into composure. This is why so many leaders, actors, and public figures spend years refining their voices, not just to persuade others, but to become more persuasive, more powerful, and more self-assured. The act of changing how you speak can fundamentally change how you think, how you feel, and how you see yourself. But beyond self-perception, there is something even deeper at play. The way you speak affects the way the world responds to you. Society constantly sends us messages about which voices are valued and which are dismissed. Studies on linguistic bias have shown that people often make unconscious judgments based on accents, speech patterns, and vocal tonality. Some voices are perceived as more intelligent, trustworthy, or authoritative, while others face bias and unfair assumptions. This means that in some ways, your voice has been shaped not just by your biology, but by your environment. You may have adjusted your speech over time, consciously or unconsciously, to fit into social expectations, to gain approval, or to avoid judgment. And while adaptation is natural, it is also important to ask, am I speaking in a way that is true to myself? Because here's the ultimate realization. Mastering your voice is not about changing who you are, it is about fully expressing who you are. It is about unlocking the confidence that has always been within you, amplifying your presence, and using your voice as a tool for both personal and professional transformation. So where do you start? How do you take control of your voice and use it to create the impact you want? It begins with awareness. Pay attention to your speech patterns. Notice how you sound in different situations. Record yourself speaking, listen back, and ask, does my voice reflect the confidence I want to project? Then, practice intentional speech. Train yourself to slow down, to articulate clearly, and to speak with purpose. Use vocal exercises to strengthen your breath control and resonance. Experiment with removing filler words and replacing them with deliberate pauses. Over time, these small changes will compound, and you will begin to feel and sound more powerful. But most importantly, remember this: your voice is yours. It is not defined by anyone else's expectations. It is not limited by past experiences. It is an evolving instrument, capable of growth, refinement, and limitless potential. When you master the way you speak, you master the way you present yourself to the world. And when you master that, you begin to shape not just how others perceive you, but how you perceive yourself. So, the next time you open your mouth to speak, ask yourself, am I using my voice to its full potential? Because the answer to that question could change everything. Thanks for looking.